Hey, this is Bill Pesco-Solito, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 proven tips to write attention-grabbing headlines for your blog posts. And the best part is, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a free gift, so stick around, check it out, and watch the video. All right, so as you probably already know, writing good headlines for your blog posts is critical if you want to get people to read your blog post. Think about it. The headline is the first thing that your reader is going to see that makes them decide to either read your blog post or not read your blog post. And it's the first thing that they're going to see that makes them realize if it's for them or if it's not for them. So you can't afford to spend a lot of time on your blog post doing all this research and writing and first drafts and second drafts and images and all this stuff, and then make writing the headline an afterthought. Because think about it, if you've got a bad headline, it doesn't matter how good the blog post is behind the headline if no one's even compelled enough to check out the blog post because you've got a crappy headline. So I got 5 tips for you here today that are going to ensure that you're always writing compelling, attention-grabbing headlines. They're going to draw people into your blog posts and get them to read them. Ready? Cool. So tip number one is to, if you're just plain and simply struggling for a headline for your blog post, one of the first things you can do to help out with that is to write a brief summary of your content. Right? So I'm not talking about rewriting the blog post or anything like that. Just read over the blog post, look it through, and in your own words, if you could summarize that blog post into one sentence, do that. That's the best place to start. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a perfect headline by any means. I'm not saying this is going to be a final headline by any means either. But this is the best way to start coming up with the headline for your blog post. So again, in one sentence, and again, this is a draft, right? But in one sentence, summarize the point of the blog post as best as you can. All right, now the second tip to writing attention-grabbing headlines for your blog posts is to, if you can, and in most cases you should be, but if you can, use a number within the headline. So for example, if this is a list blog post, or if you're giving X amount of tips, or showing someone how to do something, add a number in front of it. So for example, if it's 5 proven tips or 7 proven tips to writing attention-grabbing headlines, make sure you add that number. And I'm going to ask you a question right here. I'm going to give you 2 different headline examples. If you saw a headline that said several tips on how to write attention-grabbing headlines versus a headline that was 5 proven tips to write attention-grabbing headlines, which would you choose? Well, most people would rather read 5 proven tips versus several proven tips or many ways to write attention-grabbing headlines. And why is that? Well, it's because we always want to know what's on the other side, right? So think about, the headline, it's indicating a promise, but it's letting them know what's on the other side, and it's helping to manage their expectations. So if I saw 5 proven tips to do XYZ, I know that that's what that blog post is going to contain. Now, if I saw many proven tips to do X, Y, and Z, I might, in my brain, I might start thinking, well, what does that mean? Like there's 40 proven tips or 90 proven tips? I don't know if I have enough time to commit to that blog post, right? I don't know if I have enough bandwidth to even digest 40 tips right now on anything. So when you give a number, it's adding specificity, which is important, which I'll get to in a little bit as well. But it's managing the expectations of your reader and letting them know that they're going to get this specific number of whatever it is you're giving them within the blog post they're about to read. Okay, so our third tip to writing attention-grabbing headlines is to include some sort of an exciting adjective in the headline. As you probably know, people buy on emotion and they justify later with logic. Well, the same kind of goes with making decisions on whether they want to read a blog post or not. So while it's not a purchase that they're making, there certainly is a transaction going on. They're giving you their time and they're giving you their attention. So just how you'd want to use emotion to create people to buy from you, You want to use emotional adjectives and exciting adjectives to get people to make the decision to give you their time and attention and read the blog post. So certain words that you could use that will create emotion would be things like essential or excellent or proven or simple or time-saving, right? Words that will evoke some kind of emotion within the headline. So if we started this with, if it was just ways to write better headlines, and then we've added the number, like I said earlier, 5. So now it's 5 ways to write better headlines. Well, now we're adding an exciting adjective to it. And so it could be 5 proven ways to write better headlines, or 5 essential ways to write better headlines, or 5 must see, or can't miss, or critical, or essential, or anything like this that's going to add and evoke emotion into why they should really read your blog post. So our 4th tip to writing attention and grabbing headlines for your blog post is to keep your headlines short whenever you can. Studies show that headlines that are between 8 and 12 words typically convert best. Now, you can go as low as 8 words or as high as 14 words, but you really want to try to stay in that 8 to 10 to 12 word headline limit if you can. Now, one thing, when you think about what a headline is, it's a tightly written promise where you use as few words as necessary. So think about, when you are in the checkout line at the grocery store and you see the magazines. Those headlines are usually typically short and punchy, and they're there to get your attention. So you'll grab that magazine in the checkout aisle and throw it in your cart and buy it, and then you probably regret buying it later on, but they got you to buy it right there. Same thing with newspaper headlines. They're short, punchy, and to the point. They want to grab your attention, suck you in, and get you to read the article or buy the newspaper. So again, keep them to as low as 8 words and typically as high as 14 words if you can. And that's going to be able to help you convey that tightly written promise with as few words as necessary. Okay, and last but not least is our 5th tip for writing attention-grabbing headlines for your blog posts, and that is specificity. Be as specific as possible. I mentioned this earlier, I alluded to it, and here we are talking about it. Being as specific as possible is critical because you want to let your reader know, as I mentioned earlier, exactly what they're going to get if they click on the link to read your blog post. So let me share with you a mini case study on 2 different headlines and just see what you think. So the headline number 1 is Some Gifts for Dad, right? Some Gifts for Dad. Pretty vague headline, pretty bland, pretty poorly written headline. If you were to click on an ad or if you're scrolling through your news feed or you're just online and you saw Some Gifts for Dad and it wanted you to then go for Father's Day and buy them gifts, not a great headline. So let's look at this a little bit differently. A more specific headline for that same ad would be 7 gifts for dad under $50 for the dad that has it all. Right? Can you see how specific that is? 7 gifts under $50 for the dad that has it all. So how many gifts is it? It's 7 gift ideas. What does it cost? It costs under $50. And who is it for specifically? Well, it's for dads, but it's for the dad that has it all. So, this is not several gifts for some undetermined price for most dads out there. It is not many gift ideas for any dad that exists on earth. No, it is 7 gifts under $50 for the dad that has it all. So as you can see, when you add specificity into your subject headlines, to your blog post headlines, it's really going to let people know whether this is for them or not. And it's going to also help to draw them in and let them know what they're going to get on the other side. All right, well, that brings us to an end here. I hope you enjoyed this video on 5 proven tips to write attention-grabbing headlines for your blog post. And as promised, I've got a free gift for you. It's the Ultimate Blog Post Writing Formula. So click on the link below to get your hands on the Ultimate Blog Post Writing Formula. This is an 8-step foolproof guide to help you write clickable, share-worthy blog posts that convert for you and generate you more leads and sales while you sleep. So make sure you click on the link below right now, get your hands on the Ultimate Blog Post Writing Formula, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.